and is always morose in the material activities. Later, by associating with a pure devotee, one becomes inquisitive to know the absolute truths. In this way, one begins to engage in the transcendental service of the Lord. Next, by the Lord's grace, all misconceptions are vanquished, and the heart is cleansed of all material dirt. It is only then that the pleasure of transcendental bliss is awakened. By the Lord's mercy, one is completely convinced of the value of devotional service. Then one can see the pastimes of the Lord everywhere. He is firmly situated in transcendental bliss. Such a devotee is relieved of all kinds of material desires, and he preaches the glories of the Lord all over the world. These Krishna conscious activities separate him from material activities and the desire for liberation, because at every step the devotee feels himself connected with the Supreme Personality of God. Although such a devotee may sometimes be involved in household life, he is untouched by material existence due to his constant engagement in devotional service. Thus, everyone is advised to take shelter of devotional service to become happy and liberated. Srila Prabhupada. Helo Dhuni Tekhe Daya Vishadaya Promdi Latamo Daya Samjak Shastra Divadaya Rasadaya Chitar Madaya Saraswat Bhakti Dinodaya Samadaya Madhurya Mayadaya Sri Chaitanya Dayani Devadaya Bhuyat Amandrodaya. Ocean of mercy, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, let there be an awakening of your auspicious mercy, which easily drives away all kinds of material limitation by making everything pure and blissful. Indeed, your mercy awakens transcendental bliss and covers all material pleasures. By your auspicious mercy, quarrels and disagreements arising among different scriptures are vanquished, and your auspicious mercy pours forth transcendental mellows and thus causes the heart to stimulate. Your mercy, which is full of joy, always stimulates emotional service and glorifies conjugal love of God. May transcendental bliss be awakened with my heart by your causeless mercy. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Vishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharya Nirvishesha Srimati Bhashyaya Devshakaruni Vanchakalpatarabhishya Kripa Sindhu Devacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Ajanulamit Utopna Bhavadam Sankirtanai Tukitaro Amalai Bhaksu Samparo Vijavaro Yugadar Pava Vande Jagat Priyakaro Paramavadar Nanda Pradeshya Mamavashi Mahaprasuktam Sanjivaya Kasir Shakti Dharaspadam Anyam Shavasta Charanam Sravanam Pavali Pranam Namo Bhagavate Purushaya Rupna Svasyastu Vishwasya Kavam Prasiddhatam Yantu Bhutam Shivam Nipovyam Manascha Vadram Vajadat Vadoksaje Aleshya Nomati Atya. This verse spoken by Swarup Damodar Goswami, who was also known as Purushottamacharya in his Purvashram, is describing the mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, which we should experience in our life. And let's try to meditate today how His mercy manifests in our life. First, little background of this particular verse. Purushottamacharya or Purushottama Bhattacharya, how it's called sometimes, was a great Brahmana in Navadvip, very learned scholar, and also a friend of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And then all of a sudden, in 24 years old of age, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu left Navadvip and took sannyas. Purushottamacharya became mad of separation with him. He heard that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went to Jagannath Puri, and practically immediately after arriving to Jagannath Puri, he left for his South Indian tour. So it was unbearable for Purushottamacharya to experience this separation with the Lord, and therefore he came to Benares. He came here to Varanasi with the sole purpose to accept sannyas, to follow the footsteps of Lord Chaitanya. He wanted to come here, and he he continued his learning here in Varanasi under one Mayavadi sannyasi, a follower of Shankaracharya. His name was Chaitanya Nanda Bharati. And Chaitanya Nanda Bharati ordered him to study Vedanta Sutra. And Vedanta Sutra is a very terse philosophical treatise, and it's very good to engage your logical capacities when your heart is aching, because it will distract you a little bit from your sorrows. Basically, the advice which was given by Chaitanya Nanda Bharati to Purushottamacharya was, otherwise you will be too morose. Just engage your mind positively in studying Vedanta Sutra. Sometimes, when we are emotionally disturbed, it's good to distract it from these emotions. And if somebody has great intellectual capacities, the best way to relieve oneself from the sorrow is to engage in some intellectual pursuit, which is difficult. Like sometimes people play chess, or sometimes people play some, nowadays, of course, they don't study Vedanta Sutra for this. They just engage in computer games. But basically, the idea is the same. In the previous time, studying Vedanta Sutra was this kind of exercise. So, for 6 years, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was traveling in the south, and for 6 years, Purushottamacharya was here, and he wanted to take sannyas. And in some schools of Shankaracharya Sampradaya, there is a quite cumbersome procedure to take sannyas. One has to do all kinds of sacrifices and ceremonies to be completely free from all the obligations, from all the rinas, from all the debts which we have. And Purushottamacharya, while studying under this Chaitanya Nanda Saraswati, he started this process of accepting sannyas, but didn't complete it because after 6 years he found out that Lord Chaitanya came back to Purushottam Kshetra, to Jagannath Puri, and because he was so eager to see his dear friend and mentor again, he left Varanasi and in a mad state of mind came to Jagannath Puri. And it's very important and very interesting to analyze this from the emotional point of view, this whole episode of Chaitanya Charitamrita. He's a very learned scholar. He's a great Pandit. But the experience of being with Lord Chaitanya gave him such strong emotional attachment to Lord Chaitanya that when Lord Chaitanya lives in Navadvip, he also comes here to Varanasi. And when he hears that Lord Chaitanya again settled back to Jagannath Puri, he runs back to Jagannath Puri just to be with Chaitanya. All people who knew Chaitanya Mahaprabhu personally, they had this similar experience. Just being near him gave them so much bliss that they couldn't leave him. His whole traveling in the south, for 6 years, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was traveling in the south, and then again and again and again, we hear from Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, who is describing this, that he stays one day in Kurma Brahmana house, and Kurma Brahmana decides to give up his family, decides to give up his home and travel with him. Because the experience which people had, practically unrepeatable experience, the experience which nobody else could give, you come close to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and the aura which emanates from him gives you such a pleasure that you just magnetically attracted to him, and you cannot leave him, and you're ready to give up everything else and follow him. We see these descriptions also in Chaitanya Bhagavata. In Chaitanya Bhagavata it describes how Lord Chaitanya was traveling to Ramakeli, and how the thousands of people, he goes through one village, and he chants the holy name. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. He dances, he cries, and people just see this scene, and they become attracted, and they follow him, because they cannot give up watching this pleasurable sight of Lord Chaitanya dancing and chanting, and then dancing and chanting behind him. And then, the whole village goes behind him, and then he goes in another village, and another village joins him. And then, by the time he came to Ramakeli, thousands of people are joining him, and that's the capital of the Mughal Empire, and the Muslims are ruling there, and the roaring kirtan is going on the streets of Ramakeli, and the advisor of Hussain Shah, he becomes worried, what this crazy fellow will do to these people and to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. But again, what I want to say, this is the occurring event in Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's life. The same thing happened here in Varanasi when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came. People started following him in thousands because they experienced something. What Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave, and that's exactly what is explaining here. Purushottam Acharya, after he became Swarup Damodar Goswami, after he halfway through experienced his sannyas, he's explaining the experience which people felt, and he says, this is your mercy. And we have to understand very clearly this point. The mercy of Lord Chaitanya is not in theory, is not in giving philosophy. The mercy of Lord Chaitanya is giving us the real spiritual experience. In transformation which takes place in our heart, and if this doesn't take place, it means that we are deprived of His mercy. His mercy is taking shape of the spiritual experience which we feel, the spiritual emotions which we feel deeply in the heart. This mercy is still there. This mercy is still available, but some people get it, some people don't get it. So, while meditating on this amazing manifestations of Lord Chaitanya mercy, we also have to analyze our own heart, whether we are recipients of His mercy or by some misfortune we are not recipients of the mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Of course, being here is already a good proof that some sort of investment of Lord Chaitanya's mercy is with us. But still, let's analyze this verse which Purushottam Acharya speaks immediately when he sees Lord Chaitanya after long 6 years of separation. He bows down in front of him and he recites this verse of his own composition, and he says very important thing from the very beginning. He says, Sri Chaitanya Dayanidhe, He Sri Chaitanya, He ocean of mercy. He's explaining his own experience, his own anubhav, his own, experience of his own life. He says, you're the ocean of mercy, Havadaya Bhuya, let it be, let your mercy will always be with me. Let your mercy will never leave me, because it is Amandodaya. It's very important. That's the first point which we have to understand from this verse. Your mercy is always Amandodaya. Your mercy, when it arises within the heart, Udaya, then it Amanda means, Manda means misfortune. Manda means, like Srila Prabhupada, he wrote an article explaining the meaning of this verse in old Back to Gothic magazine before he went to the West. And he translated this verse quite differently from the translation he gave in Chaitanya Charitamrita. And in this translation in Old Back to Gothic magazine, he translates this word Amandodaya as non-corrosive. It's a very special way of translating this word. Basically, corrosive means, like it was iron, it's being corroded, it's rusted. So what Srila Prabhupada wants to say, and it's very interesting, and it's the first thing which we have to understand from this verse, is that the mercy of Lord Chaitanya always brings fortune. There are so many different merciful people in this world. There are some benevolent people, people who are engaged in charity, so many different great saints are coming to this world, and they're all trying to do good to the people. There are so many people who have good intentions and they want to save the whole world. Like, we're coming here from Gaya, and in Gaya, of course, Gautama Buddha was there. And Gautama Buddha, his idea was let's find a solution to save everyone in this world. But what we see that these people, they give some solution. They give their mercy. Gautama Buddha gave the mercy. Jesus Christ gave the mercy. Prophet Muhammad gave the mercy to his followers. So many different people, they were trying to give the mercy to all the people of the world. But we also can see that sometimes their mercy becomes complete opposite. You know, so many crimes were committed by the followers of all these charitable, saintly, benevolent persons who are giving the mercy on the name of their founder. So many crimes were created on the name of Jesus Christ. So many people were tortured and killed on the name of the most merciful incarnation, who is supposed to be the Son of God. So many people are killed because Prophet Muhammad gave his mercy to his followers. So many problems are created by the people who want to give mercy. You know, I'm coming from Russia, and we're coming, recently I was in Kerala, where you can see Stalin and Lenin, you know, the followers of Karl Marx, of communists, who wanted to give mercy. They wanted to give mercy to everyone. They wanted to make everyone happy without any exceptions. What was the result? Millions of people were killed to make everyone else happy. You know, let's kill all these bad guys who don't know what the mercy is, and only those who are worthy recipients of mercy, let them flourish. You know, so much corrosion is taking place in this world by people who are trying to give mercy, because their mercy is not real mercy. Because their mercy is not the mercy which people need. Sometimes people, you know, and that's exactly the point of Prabhupada's article in Back to Bhagavad magazine. Sometimes people give mercy by giving food. Sometimes people give mercy by giving shelter. Sometimes people give mercy by giving some clothes. But that's not the real mercy. And this mercy, at best, is corrosive, means that it's perishable. It's not long-lasting. It doesn't bring the long-lasting effect within our life. What Purushottam Acharya or Swarup Goswami wants to say here is that if you get the mercy of Lord Chaitanya, the impression which you get in your heart, the samskara which you get in your heart, will be eternal. It will not be perished by time, and it will not turn into something else, unless of course you are a completely hopeless offender and you will misuse the mercy which you receive. But it's very important to understand this point. Lord Chaitanya gives you some experience. And we can see it happens still 500 years after Lord Chaitanya. It still happens. You know, people receive this Hare Krishna mantra. And they experience maybe not such strong joy as they experienced while Lord Chaitanya himself was giving Hare Krishna mantra. But still, they experience this happiness within the heart. You know, we were just doing Harinam in this Varanasi and in Gaya, and you know, all the people, they start chanting with us, and you know, of course now they are not chanting with us. Now, as the sign of appreciation, they take video of the time. That's the modern way of expressing their gratitude. Everyone of the mobile phones around us. But why? Because they experience something. Because there is some sort of, joy which they feel in the heart. They hear this chanting, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare. And immediately, instinctively, they take the mobile phone and start doing something to keep this moment. Actually, what is mobile? Mobile is just a device which helps you to maintain some scars. You get some aggression and you want to make it more strong, so you put it on your device and you can repeat it and you can go back to it. So that's what it is. So indirectly they are confirming this verse of Swarup Damodar Goswami, saying, yes, there is something special which we feel at this very moment. Some joy is coming within our heart, and we feel this influx of joy, and therefore we want to retain this joy in the memory card of our mobile phone. So, again, that's the point which I'm trying to make. Lord Chaitanya immediately gives the experience. Lord Chaitanya gives this anubhav, and that's his mercy. We know there are so many other great acharyas who give their mercy, there's no doubt about it. They give their mercy to their followers, but not so much by the way of experience, rather by the way of explaining the truth. Ramanujacharya, great acharya, merciful acharya, no doubt about it. He wanted to give the mercy to all his followers, by which means by explaining more or less the philosophy of Vishishta-Advaita. That's the main way. Of course, we have this episode in Ramanujacharya's life, and he gave mantra, secret mantra, Om Namo Narayana to everyone. Again, the same point in mind, that mantra can give immediate experience, immediate transcendental experience, immediate touch with the transcendental realm, immediate understanding that there is a truth higher than the truth which we know so far. By going through the material experience, the mechanics of material life, we get some bliss, but then Lord Chaitanya gives the experience of transcendence by giving this Hare Krishna mantra. But again, what I want to say that other acharyas mostly explain in a rational way the philosophy of the Vedas to their followers, and that was the way of spreading their teachings. But Lord Chaitanya, he hardly gave teachings. He gave teachings to Rupa Goswami, Sanatana Goswami. Yes, for 2 months in Varanasi, he was teaching Sanatana Goswami. And Sanatana Goswami, Rupa Goswami, they taught the philosophy. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he didn't give the teachings to everyone else. Hardly anyone he taught the philosophy. To everyone else, he was giving the spiritual experience. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare. That was his way of giving the mercy, and when people would see the depths of the emotions which he experienced himself, they would be immediately convinced. They would be convinced on the spot that this is the true teaching because we see it. That's the truth. like Srila Prabhupada, he once asked, what is the truth that Krishna is God? What is the proof? Can you give me proof that Krishna is God? And so many people started, his disciples started giving different rationale. Krishna gave Bhagavad Gita. He said, Prabhupada said, Bhagavad Gita is just a book. Anyone can write a book. That's not the proof. And then, you said Krishna is God. That's the proof that Krishna is God. He said, I'm just an old man. Old man can tell so many things. It's not the proof. And then, they gave some other proofs, and Srila Prabhupada rejected everything. And then he said, no, the real proof that Krishna is God is that you chant his name and you feel bliss. Because the proof of pudding is in eating. That's the example which Prabhupada gave. The proof of pudding is in eating. The proof of cake is in eating. The proof of ice cream is in eating. The proof of Krishna is God is in chanting his holy name and experiencing immediately the coming in touch with the transcendence through this medium. And therefore that's what was Lord Chaitanya's method of spreading Krishna consciousness. Not through teaching, not through preaching, not through what I am doing now. He was not doing this. He was just giving Hare Krishna mantra. And therefore it is said, Amandodaya. Amandodaya, it basically means it's all auspicious. It's never manda. Manda means material. Manda means slow. Manda means bad. Manda means corrupt. But his mercy is Amandodaya because it gives you the impression, and then our life is guided by the impressions which we get. What is karma? What is the mechanism of karma? The mechanism of karma is that we get some impressions, we store these impressions in the mind, and because we have this experience which is there, stored emotional experience in the impressions, our life is guided by this. We're always looking for the same, to repeat the same experience, or to avoid the negative experience, or to repeat the positive experience. This is the way of karma. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gives the spiritual experience, and by giving the spiritual experience through the chanting of the holy name, he completely nullifies the material karma. The material karma is plugged out. There is no energy within this karma because it's overshadowed by the spiritual experience. You get the bliss of chanting Hare Krishna mantra, and you will never get the same bliss anywhere else. People start dancing, and like recently we were in Gaya, I said, and one crazy person, totally crazy person, started chanting with us. He couldn't repeat mantra. It was always, something else. But still, he was in such a bliss. He was jumping and dancing and trying to repeat the words of the mantra. It was difficult for him, but he was getting this experience. And again, because he was getting the samskara, his life would be changed. And that's exactly what he says here. By saying that your mercy is Amandodaya, and your mercy, as Prabhupada explains, manifests in three ways. Because basically people, especially in India, but not only in India, they have three main problems. And the three lines, the three previous lines of this verse explain the three problems and three solutions, three means of solution, and three results of applying this solution as a result of Lord Chaitanya's mercy. It's actually very interesting how he, Purushottamacharya or Swarup Damodar Swami explained this. Basically, the three kinds of problems which every one of us has. One is depression. One is desire, unlimited desire. We want this, we want that. And by having desires, we also have stress. You know, many of you are students, and you know what stress means. By going through these exams and, you know, all kinds of difficult tests which you have to go through, you're constantly under the stress. But why you are undergoing this stress? Because you have desires. You want to achieve something, and therefore you have to really work hard and overburden your brain with all this completely useless information which you never in your life you will do. But you will somehow or other have this simplicity. Because you have to pass the exam. It's a total waste of life. So that's the first problem. The first problem is stress, which is the result of desires. We want to fulfill something, we want to achieve something, and as a result we get the stress, and that's the first problem. The second problem, which everyone has, is, especially nowadays because of the internet, the second problem is that everyone is totally, completely confused. Everyone thinks that he knows the truth, and that's exactly the sign that everyone is confused, because if you ask him what is the truth, you know, you will be totally surprised, because his truth will be completely different from your truth, and it's only you who knows the truth. And because everyone else has something different, then they don't have truth. You know, what I want to say is that in this day and age of internet, everyone is completely confused, because in the internet everyone is preaching the truth, right? And this truth is completely, totally contradicting each other. You know, and somebody is saying that, you know, eating meat is very good. It's very good for your health. Please eat as much meat as possible, because there is a lot of protein. And there are scientists who are preaching their truths, and there are astronomers, and there are this religion, that religion, and you just one bottom of these truths. You know, just push this button, and this truth will be yours. The internet is full of different, confusing, contradictory views. And everyone, without exception, says, follow me. They're called bloggers, right? You know, or podcasters, or whatever. You know, and everyone says subscribe, right? Subscribe basically means follow me, right? You know, and put like. And every time you see something, subscribe and put like. Become my follower. I know the truth. I will make you happy. So that's the second problem which everyone has in this Kali Yuga. Everyone is stressed. Agree? Chen Haribo. Everyone is confused. And then there is the third problem, which is described here indirectly. You know, the third problem is little less obvious. But still, the third problem is there. The third problem is that everyone in this world feels that there is God. I was born in Russia, in the Soviet Union, and the Soviet Union at that time was completely, totally atheist. Atheism was the religion. And, my parents were atheists, my grandparents were atheists, and I was an atheist because I was told that, Gagarin went to space and he didn't see God, so that serious proof that there is no God. Because he was supposed to wait for Gagarin to leave space, but somehow or other he missed. Anyway, so, but I remember very clearly when I was a small kid, I was praying. I didn't know to whom I was praying. I didn't know how to pray, but the prayer was there. The point which I want to make is that everyone in this world knows that there is some higher force, some higher entity. Everyone knows that there is some sort of God. Even those people who don't believe in God, they still internally they have this intuition that God is there. Everyone without exception. You may profess the atheism, still deep within your heart you have the fear of death. Like in Russia there was one very famous atheist, militant atheist. For his whole life he was writing books against Bible, because Russia, predominantly Christian country, so he was writing these books. And before his death, he was so fearful. He was completely, totally fearful because he knew God is dead. And his whole life he was trying to prove to himself and to everyone else that there is no God, but still the fear of death is still there. So the third problem, but despite everyone knows God is there, despite the fact that everyone knows that God is there, still everyone is very apathetic to do bhakti towards God, to do devotional service. Everyone is saying that, yes, God is there, when I will retire, then I will chant my prayers, no problem. Now I'm too busy. Now I have to do my duty, now I have to do this, now I have to do that. Everyone is saying this kind of stuff. Srila Prabhupada, he had this joke when he said, when we call people or when we ask people, chant, 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 people say, can't. That's the problem. Everyone is indifferent. Despite the fact that everyone has this intuition that God is there, still everyone is lazy when it comes to do some devotional service. Not in a hurry. So this is the three problems which we have: the stress, the confusion, and the apathy, indifference towards God. And Lord Chaitanya, by giving His mercy, solves these three problems of human beings, which beautifully explained here. It is said in the first line of this verse, even just by the composition of this verse, everything is explained. In the beginning, in the first word of every line, Swarup Damodar Goswami indicates the problem. Then the second word of the line, he indicates the means by which this problem is solved by Lord Chaitanya's mercy. Vishadaya, Rasadaya, and Samadaya. That's the means. And the third word in each line indicates the result of the solution. Lord Chaitanya gives the mercy. He gives the mercy by this Vishadaya, Rasadaya, and Samadaya. And then the result is from Nila, Amodaya, Chitarpitan Madaya, and Madhurya Maryadaya. So this is how he explains the mercy of the Lord. Please listen, it's very beautiful. It's not, I don't agree with the interpretation of this verse that this is 10 kinds of mercy or 9 kinds of mercy. No. Srila Prabhupada is very clear. There is 3 problems, 3 kinds of mercy, and 3 kinds of results. As the result of achieving the mercy. And therefore, the mercy of Lord Chaitanya is Amandodaya. As soon as the mercy is dawning within our heart, we will feel the change within the heart. So he says that Helam Bhumita Kedaya easily Udhunita, this stress which is there, is removed by which means by Vishadaya. Vishadaya means by purification or by the brilliance which is coming from the practice of the holy name, chanting of the holy name. We immediately feel the purification of the heart, and when the heart is purified, there is no place in the heart of this darkness of stress or this grief which is there. You know, the grief is only there within our heart because of the dirt, and dirt in the form of desires. The first result which everyone can feel realistically is that our heart becomes lighter. Now our heart is very heavy, and this heavy heart experiences the negative emotion. Why the heart is heavy? Because it has so many, the burden of desires. The desires is the result of karma. We experience some other things, so many dirty things in our life, in this life, in previous life, and because of the burden of all these desires, our heart sinks. Our heart becomes very heavy. And negative emotions in the heart is the result of this burden of unlimited desires which are there in the heart. When we start chanting, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. We experience that the burden of desires will become lighter, lighter and lighter. Yes, the desires are still there, no problem. I still want to get married, no problem. To become a doctor or IT engineer or whatever. But it's not so heavy. It's not so, it's not so depressing. Because there is a degrees of desires. Desires may not be so bad, they're not so heavy and depressing. By all means, I have to achieve this. So Vishadaya here means, the word Vishadaya means lightening up. The darkness within the heart is dissipated. The darkness of desires is dissipated by the mercy of Lord Chaitanya, and because the darkness is dissipated, the burden of desires becomes less, and therefore, pra-un-milat amodaya, one feels the transcendental bliss. Pra-un-milat amodaya, one meets the experience of transcendental bliss, which is simply the result of purification of the heart. the heart becomes purified, the heart becomes lightened, the heart becomes brightened by the mercy of Lord Chaitanya, and therefore we experience less desires, and we start experiencing little bliss. In the beginning, little bliss, amodaya. Amodaya means transcendental bliss. There are 3 degrees of transcendental bliss in this verse. In increasing manner. Immediately, amodaya means transcendental bliss, not just material happiness, which is overshadowing the material experience. So immediately from the beginning, Brahmila Amodaya, we have this first investment of transcendental experience in the very beginning. Then the next, when we start asking ourselves, where is the truth? What is the real truth? And that's also the result of Lord Chaitanya's mercy. We start seeking the answers to the most important questions. Like everyone nowadays is asking some questions, and there is the guru, Google Guru. He is the only Kali Yuga Jagat Guru. Because the whole world is following Google. So he's Jagat Guru, Shri Srimad, Astotara Shatta, Parivrajikacharya, everywhere. So, but usually people ask stupid questions. So all these questions which they ask in Google, they are stupid. But the mercy of Lord Chaitanya, you start asking real questions. What is the real truth? What is the absolute truth in this world? How to find this absolute truth? You start looking for these answers, and by looking to these answers, you are going to Shastra, and still in the Shastra you see some vivad. The Shastra contradict to each other. One Shastra says Abheda. Shastra says everyone is one. That there is only one truth, that there is only one God, everything is one. You go to Shankaracharya, you meet with this kind of explanation. Aham Brahmasmi. And then some other Shastra says, no, there are two. Madhvacharya says there are two. He has his 10 rays. And Lord Chaitanya says, no, there is 1 and 2 together. How they are together? Oh, I don't know how, but somehow or other it's together. And they are coming together, rasadaya. Lord Chaitanya starts explaining Shastra in such a beautiful and sweet way that, yes, ultimately, yes, we are one with God, and we are different with God. How we are one and different? Because there is love. Because ultimately there is love, and love implies, the very word love implies that there is difference, right? For love you need two. But love mitigates the difference. Love unites the two into one. So there is two because there is love, and because there is love, there is one. Right? Rasadaya. He gives rasa. He gives this rasa explanation of the Shastra, which completely mitigates or completely reconciles all the contradictions. Yeah, there is two. Sure, there is two. And there is one. Sure, there is one. Because there is love. Because there is rasa. And therefore, Lord Chaitanya gives this mercy, and all the different scriptures, they understand, yes, everything is clear. There is two, there is one. and there is God, and there is soul, and there is one beauty which we all have. This is the third, the Supreme Lord in love. And because of this, it's very interesting how he says this. Chitartitam Mada. You give your heart to the Lord. Chitta Arpita. You give your heart to the Lord in complete joy or madness of love. And by giving your heart to the Lord, you become happy and you reconcile all the difference of the Shastras. And then the third problem, as I said, is this apathy or indifference. And because we already gave our heart, then Shashvat Bhakti Vinodaya, Shashvat Bhakti Vinodaya, it's very important. Vinodaya basically means, Vinoda means invigorating. Shashvat Bhakti Vinodaya. The mercy of Lord Chaitanya always nourishes your inclination to serve the Lord. The inclination is there. It's instinctive. Everyone is praying. Everyone, if they don't pray any other time, they pray before the examination. That's the time where they go to the temple and put some 10 rupees in the bundi. Or please make my pariksha successful. But that's indifference. What Lord Chaitanya gives, he says, Shashvat Bhakti Vinodaya. Your bhakti, your inclination to serve the Lord is being nourished all the time. Yes, that's the way to live. Yes, that's the way to do. That's the way what we should do. This is what we are supposed to do in this life. So Shashvat, therefore he says Shashvat Bhakti. All the time our bhakti is being nourished by the mercy of Lord Chaitanya. Samadaya. Why? Because every time we engage in bhakti, we feel joy, we feel bliss. We listen some discourse of Lord Chaitanya's philosophy, we chant the holy name, we chant the kirtan, we take prasadam. Every time, Shashvat, Bhakti Vinodaya, Samadaya, because it gives us complete joy. And Madhurya Maryadaya, that's the result of this bhakti. Madhurya Maryadaya, as Srila Prabhupada explains, you experience the limit of Madhurya. You experience the very deep experience of God who is human-like. Krishna, who is not God, but who is very cute little child, who is ready to give you love, who is ready to serve, who is ready to reciprocate with you. Madhurya Mayadaya, because of the engagement in bhakti, you understand what is the limit of sweetness of the Lord. You're not afraid of the Lord, because you know He is so merciful, He is so beautiful, and He is so kind to everyone. And that's the third result. So we have 3 problems, 3 solutions, and 3 results, and this all unlimited and completely eternal, non-exhaustible mercy of Lord Chaitanya. He came to this world to give this mercy, to give this experience. And He still gives this experience because of the mercy of Srila Prabhupada and all our acharyas. He continues to give this mercy again and again and again, and we all are results of this mercy. We all have this experience. Our heart becomes lighter. The burden of karma is not so heavy. We experience some clear understanding what Shastra is teaching us. Shastra is teaching bhakti. And not only intellectually we understood that Shastra is teaching us bhakti, we are eager to follow the path of bhakti. by chanting the holy name Hare Krishna,
Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare.
To ultimately come to the ultimate result of Lord Chaitanya's worship, which is Madhurya Maryada. To experience this limit of Madhurya, of the sweetness of the Lord in spiritual world, and not only in the spiritual world. So, and to finish this lecture, I just want to tell that Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada gave several discourses on this particular verse. And in one discourse on this verse, he's changing this verse, gives the translation of this verse, and immediately says, what is the real mercy of Lord Chaitanya? He says the real mercy of Lord Chaitanya is the feeling of separation with the Lord, with Krishna. And he chants during this discourse 3 times, he chants the verse which Madhavendra Puri was always chanting. And he says this is the Mula mantra of our Sampradaya. Aivina Dayaridra Nathate Manpuranatha Padavaloksya Hridayam Padalo Padaram Daita King Daita 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 Brahmyatam Kim Karotyam Daita Brahmyatam 3 times, and when he starts chanting this verse for the 3rd time, he started crying because he feels very acutely this feeling of separation with the Lord. Idea that this is the verse which Srimati Radharani himself was chanting. And Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada says that very sarcastically, she called here Krishna Daita, which means my dear, my darling, somebody who is very dear. She is actually rebuking Krishna. How you can leave us? You who are so dear to our heart, how you could leave us? How you could go to Mathura? How you could become unavailable to our senses? We know you are Adoksucha. God is Adoksucha. God is not available to our senses. But you gave us the real experience. We experienced you, your presence, by our senses. By our eyes, we could see you. By our nose, we could smell the aroma which is coming from you. By our ears, we could hear your voice, your jokes with us. By our skin, we could experience the touch of your hand. You became not a Loksuja, you became very tangible to us. And then you left us. And now you are in Mathura. And Mathura, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada very interestingly explains what is Mathura. He says Mathura is the representation of spiritual knowledge. Mathura is not just the city or not just a geographical place. It's the abode of spiritual knowledge. And he says, he explains this verse that, O Lord Krishna, He made yourself available to all senses. And then you left and went to Mathura. Meaning that you only made yourself available to our mind, to our meditation. You disappeared from our vision, and now we can only think about you. Now we can only remember you in our mind because you are in Mathura. I don't see you. Because I don't see you, my mind is Brahmyata. he is always unsteady, he is always disturbed because of this. How you dare to do this? And Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada, he says that this is the ultimate installation of Lord Chaitanya's mercy, this feeling of separation which he came to this world to spread this feeling of Vipralamba Bhava, this very acute feeling which everyone, by reading Chaitanya Charitamrita, can at least have some little shadow of experience, some little abhas of this real bhav of experience of separation with the Lord. The Lord is available, He is there, He is here. And all the great saints of India, they had this longing, I want to see the Lord. You know, when here near Sankat Mochan temple, where Tulsidas experienced the same feeling, you know, he's holding the feet of Preta and saying, you Preta, you promised to me to give some boon, give me the boon, I want to see my Lord Rama. And Preta says, who am I to give you the darshan of Lord Rama? But I can teach you how to get the darshan. I can tell you who is Hanuman. He's coming to the responses every night. But what I want to say is that all the great saints, they became saints because they had this longing within the heart. I want to see the Lord. Because they had this Vipralamba Bhava. But it's only the saints. Lord Chaitanya comes and he says, here it is, take it. It's available to you now. It's available to everyone. If you try to meditate on Lord Chaitanya, this mercy in the form of Vipralamba Bhava will come to your heart. And you will become a saint. And as Srila Prabhupada explains in the purport, you will start preaching Krishna consciousness all over the world, and you will become successful. And that's the ultimate input, ultimate installation of Lord Chaitanya's mercy. So that's what it is. Therefore, His mercy is amandultara. He is uncomparable. He gives something which is very rarely achieved. This feeling of acute separation with the Lord. And therefore, people all over the world, in America, in Japan, we came here to Varanasi with people from 19 different countries. And they all come because they want to experience Krishna, His sweetness, His madhurya, maryada, His highest limit of His sweetness. That's why we're here, and that's why I'm here trying to explain the unbelievable mercy of Lord Chaitanya. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Maharaj, for such an amazing class. We are very, very grateful. And we can see that how these are the things that we should look for. These are the mercy that we should look for from Lord Chaitanya. One question was, Maharaj, that when we are engaged in service to the Lord, and we have already spent some years.
Mouse coming here together now. The next busy.
So when we are engaged in services and when some time passes, there is a tendency to become inattentive to the music. Okay? We are hearing lectures. Maharaj, how can we again be situated and take the mercy boat?
Here, we become too familiar with kind of, yes, I know. To remind us about this, we have this tradition of giving these courses. Otherwise, we would be just chanting all the time. But the lectures which we give and the pravachans, they're just to remind us about the extent of the mercy, not to take it for granted, because yes, that's the human nature. Whatever we receive, after some time, we think, oh yeah, I did something else. But we have to understand that no, this is something very special, and we have to be always conscious how special it is, and how much more we have to go to experience the full extent of this mercy. Because we did get some little installment of this mercy, but that's only the, how to say, down payment. Little thing, the rest is coming, but we have to work hard for it.
Thank you so much, Maharaj, for very beautifully explaining this verse. So I never thought how beautiful this shloka is, especially the way you explained it. How wonderful Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was. Very grateful to you, Maharaj. So Maharaj, through this shloka we understood how great is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mercy. Can you please share how we can actually become a recipient of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mercy? So these are the effects and the mediums by which
Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself explained this. Vrinadami Suri, Amanina, there's not a way. When we feel our complete unworthiness, and when we feel our fallen condition, when we feel that we are not really proper recipients of Lord Chaitanya mercy, we don't have, like Narottam Das Thakur, he thinks that you come here to save the fallen, and I'm the most fallen, so my turn is the first, come to me the first. And we have this feeling that I'm nobody, that I don't have any qualification to receive the mercy. This is the only qualification to receive the mercy. When we feel that I'm not qualified to receive the mercy. And yeah, our qualification is a total lack of qualifications. So that's feeling that, acute feeling of this total lack of qualifications. Mercy will come.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
So let's thank Maharaj for this very beautiful discourse. Maharaj is explaining in the answer to Shiv Maharaj's question that we have this tradition of giving lectures from great souls like Maharaj, and so such lectures actually help us to understand the depth of the mercy which we are receiving. We again become conscious. So Maharaj has mercifully come here, purified this place, and made us aware of what mercy we all are receiving, how we can actually become a recipient of such a mercy. So let's thank Maharaj by one time loudly chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare.
And we would also like to request Maharaj to very soon our temple will come up. We request Maharaj that Maharaj please keep coming. As Maharaj place is currently Govardhan only. Maharaj stays most of the time in Govardhan. We request Maharaj that please grace our temple again and again. please come for the opening ceremony also. And I just forgot to tell the introduction of Maharaj. Actually, Maharaj was a scientist, and that time of Maharaj was telling in Soviet Union there was Iron Curtain, so communism. So religious practices, religious books, they were not propagated. So at that point of time, Maharaj received the books of Srila Prabhupada. He came across Prabhupada's devotees. And that time there was no printing press over there. They would do everything secretly. And that time Maharaj became very interested in Prabhupada's teachings. And then the Russian intelligence agency KGB, so they were after Maharaj. In fact, Maharaj many times he had life threats also. So he had to leave in Russia from one place to another place. He had to go, and then he left Russia, he went to Sweden, Germany, different places. So Maharaj, he had actually gone through so many challenging situations, and this actually, his life is actually a testimony of how serious and how focused a devotee should be in receiving the mercy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Maharaj not only he became a receiver, but he is transmitting this mercy to everyone. Thank you so much, Maharaj. जगत सबसे विज्ञान गोस्वामी महाराज की जगत गुरु श्री प्रभुपाद की कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम हरे राम